So this afternoon, we're going to finish up our discussion on functions and scope. And then I want to put you guys back into breakout rooms for lab. I think we're at a good pace to get you guys into lab at 4:30, if not a little bit sooner. But this afternoon, we'll talk more about scope. And yeah, so let's do this. I put the README into Slack again if you want to click and follow along. But I will be posting the screenshots as we move forward, if you just want to focus on Slack. So let's pick up our discussion. Let's talk about the return statement. So sometimes we don't want to print to the console. We don't want to console log or do an alert or update the DOM in some manner. Or rather, we want to update a variable or even call another function. This requires a return statement. So when we return something, it ends the function's execution and spits out what we're returning. We can then store this returned value in another variable. So this morning, all of our examples, we were like console logging, the sum of something, or console logging a hello message or some words or something. But we don't always want to do that. Maybe we just want to return a value and then do something else with that value. A very practical use case for something like this, we're going to get into it as we get into our full stack applications, but you guys are going to be using return statements a lot when we get into full stack development. Let's say if you ping the database to return some user information. That's a really common pattern that we're going to be using in full stack. So a lot of the times you just want to go, like when you log into a website, you put in your email and password, that information gets sent to the back end, to the database for some validation or some authentication type logic. And so you don't necessarily want to do anything at that point. It's like, hey, database, deliver the information for Mark, who just logged into the website, and then I'm going to do some other stuff with it. So return statements are super common, and we're going to be using these a lot, particularly when we get into full stack development in Unit 2 and going forward. So the example that's here in Slack, here's a very simple sum function. So the ones we did this morning, we would like console log the output or the solution. In this case, in this sum function, we're going to return x plus y. We're just going to return that value. We're not going to print it out to the console or do anything like that. But we would assign it to a variable. So earlier this morning, there's a little bit of discussion about our speak functions. And so maybe this will help kind of shine some light on if you want to use one function in coordination with some other function. This would be how you would do it. You would use a return statement. So in this example, I'm going to define a variable called z, and z is going to contain the result or the returned value of that sum with 3 and 4 passed in as arguments. And so that would return 7, for example. So that's assigning a function to a variable. What if you want to pass the value of one function to another function? So here in the second example, we have the sum function again, and then we have this double function. So it's essentially taking the value and multiplying it by 2. But you can see what's going on here. If we assign the result of that first sum function to a variable called z, then we can pass z into a second function. And you can see that here. And even in this example, we create another variable, num double, and then that equals that double function, and we pass in something there. I'm not going to do these in the console because I want to get to some exercise time so you guys can do this yourself. But if you want to pop this into the REPL while we're going through it, feel free. One important thing to keep in mind with the return statement is that it completely stops a function's execution. And actually, this example I am going to do in REPL just to demonstrate. So the return statement will completely stop a function's execution, and any statements following the return statement will not be called. So this is something really important to keep in mind when using return statements. And let me show you guys a demonstration of this example. So I'm going to share my screen. And let me know if you need this a little bit larger or anything. So if you guys want to code along, feel free. One thing that really encourage you guys to do is unless it's like a huge block of code or something, we always try to manually type the stuff. I try as best I can, time permitting, not to just copy and paste code. So if you guys want to follow along, go ahead and type this out in your own REPL. So from the lesson plan, I'm just going to bring our speak function in here again. And let's put a return statement of words there just inside the function declaration there. And then down here, just to demonstrate how the return statement works, let's define some local variables. So a var x equals 1, a var y equals 2. And then down below here, let's try to console log x plus y. Yeah, so we're just getting a little bit of a linter. Actually, this is pretty cool of Replit because it's already kind of like ruining the surprise for us. But here's the thing as it pertains to the return statement. So remember that a return statement is going to break the code and exit out. It's going to spit out whatever has been evaluated up to that point, or whatever we're asking for, essentially. So if I run this, and then if I invoke speak, like so. So it's returning the words, but I'm not getting this other statement data, the statements that I asked for. So down here, I also wanted to console log x plus y, but I'm not getting to that point in the function because it's escaping right here on line 2. So what would happen if we just like console log here? So instead of a return statement, let's just try console logging words. And then let's see if the function will continue and provide the other statements that we're asking for. So let me reload this into the browser, or into Replit. And then let's do speak again. And so here the function, finishes to completion because we don't have a return statement, so it's going to run the entire thing. So it's going to run line 2, the console log of words, which is right here. And then it's also going to complete the function. So it'll get down to line 6. So it'll console log x plus y, which is 3. So just a quick demonstration of how the return statement, again, just be aware that it will break out of the function. It'll stop the code running wherever you place the return statement and return the value that you ask for. So that's how a return statement works. Have an activity to get a little bit more practice with this. I'll stop my screen share. So I'll put you guys back into your BFF breakout rooms for this little exercise, just getting some more practice with the return statement and such. So what I would like you guys to do is, number 1, write a function named to the power that takes 2 parameters, which are numbers, and the function should return the first number raised to the power of the second number. The second function I'd like you guys to hack on is writing another function after the to the power function. And this function should be called +1. And +1 should take the return value of to the power and add 1 to the result. And then finally, write a function named palindrome that checks whether a string is a palindrome. Do you guys know what a palindrome is? Does someone want to enlighten us? What is a palindrome?
Is that when it's the same forwards and backwards?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like the one that comes to mind is like, I think I'm spelling this right, like Madam, I'm Adam. So this phrase would read the same backwards or forwards. Taco Cat, yeah. My name backwards is Cram, just FYI. It's not a palindrome, but just kind of race car. Oh, wow, that's a good one. Mom, dad, yeah. Wouldn't that be dad, mom? Oh, you mean mom, M-O-M, and dad. I thought you meant it like as a complete statement. Yeah, those are good. So anyway, write a function palindrome, as you can see, that checks whether a string is a palindrome. A palindrome is the same forwards as it is in reverse. The function should either return true or false. So it'll return a Boolean value. So I'll put you guys back into your breakout rooms. Any questions about these 3 exercises? All right, cool. So if you don't mind, give me a thumbs up in Slack when you're done. We'll take maybe 10 or 15 minutes, let you guys work on this. and then we'll come back here and have you guys walk us through it. So let me open up the breakout rooms. Some folks left entirely for lunch, so I need to re-add a couple of folks, so bear with me. So when you exit the classroom, you get out of your breakout rooms, which is nice. So let me just throw you guys back in there. So David, your partner is Christina. Kieran, Alexander, you guys are good. Matt and Alan. Deb and Michael, they're good. Audrey, Daniel, and Sophia. Okay. Okay, I think that's everyone.